Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ethan.
And I am Brian.
Welcome to the WandaVision Episode 5 podcast. Before I begin, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can keep up to date with our WandaVision Review and Synopsis podcast episodes. And also be sure to check out WandaVision streaming exclusively on Disney+, which I already think you know because the title of the video says WandaVision and it's Episode 5. So, yeah, I think you're here for a reason.
Yeah,
So,
if you've stuck with us this long.
if you have, but if you haven't, I don't know why you're tuning into episode 5, but make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all of our videos. All right, gang? Oh, yeah. And also, this will be a spoiler alert episode, just like all the rest of our podcast episodes, because we're getting to spoiler territory here, because that's the only way how we can thoroughly explain what happens in this episode. Alrighty, then. Do you have anything more to say, Brian?
No, I think you just about summed it up.
Yeah, before we get into the meat of this episode. Alrighty then. So, what exactly is the meat of this episode? Because I think this is what I was saying last week on our episode 4 podcast, like and subscribe. That I was saying, now that we figured out our questions as to what, why, and how this of the pocket dimension sitcom fictitious world universe, what was the formula of the future episodes going to follow? And so that's kind of like the biggest challenge on trying to commentate over this episode, because this episode switches back and forth between the points of view of the sitcom universe and the real universe.
That it does. That it does.
All right. So me and Brian were discussing it with ourselves on how we should approach this. We would start with the minimal plot that happens in the sitcom universe and then find that right moment, like at the moment where the drone confronts the house when Wanda and her kids are out looking for the dog, and you know the dog, you've watched the episode already. And then we'll backtrack a bit and explain the events leading to the drone confrontation on the sword point of view. So that's how we're going to tackle this commentary today, gang. Alrighty, so do you want to start us off like you always do, good sir Brian?
Alrighty. Well, just like every episode, best place to start, the beginning. And the beginning. Well, you get your average 80s style beginning.
Yes, we are back looking at the show through Darcy's monitor, basically, but this time it's in full screen.
Yep, because 80s boys and girls, we're moving up in the world.
That was very cringy.
That was. Thank you for tuning in. If you've made it this far, I'm glad you have more will than I do. So we've moved up in the world to the 80s. Moved up in technology. We're now in full screen, as he just mentioned. And Wanda has her old curly hair 80s look going on. With some very, very obvious ties to like Full House. As like a main influence on this episode.
Oh, is that the influence? Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a 90s show, though.
I think it is, but...
But let's just go with it, gang. All right.
Let's just go with it.
Exactly.
They used Full House as an influence in the opening title sequence. So who cares?
Right. Alrighty.
Anyways, so it's Vision and Wanda, like it always is. And they have their twins, which their twins are just right where we left off. They're babies. And they're just rocking them, trying to get them to stop crying. And as they're still trying to figure out why they're crying, Agnes just moseys on in her whole jazzercise uniform.
Right, because 80s.
Because 80s. And she just barges on in, and she's all like, "I could hear them from outside. Do you want me to take a stab at calm them down. She barges her way in, and then she's like, "Oh, let me take a chance at calming them down." And Wanda's like, "Yeah, no, that's a great idea." But Vision's not so keen on the idea, and he stops her. When he stops her, Agnes doesn't know what to do. And this is where we get our first little weird moment.
Right. Talk about stage fright, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how else to describe it.
Yeah. No, it was definitely like I could feel the awkwardness that Agnes was going through during that. Cuz I've had that happen before on stage many a time. And so so she just doesn't know what to do. So she just is like, do you want me to take that from the top?
Right. And like
What do you want me to do?
this is something that we've been saying here on our podcast, like and subscribe in our previous episodes, that like whenever something weird happens within the fictitious script of the sitcom world or universe, however you want to put that, whatever, that's when it like the show doesn't know exactly what to do with itself.
Mm-hmm. So they try to just either go with it or like just freeze up in that moment.
Right, and it happens here again, and then think of it as like you're an actor doing an onstage not rehearsal, but an onstage performance, and then one of your actors just forgets the line or their next line, or because I don't know, they forgot, they have stage fright, or like they get, or in this example, Vision messes up their blocking, and so basically the actress is like, should we take it from the top?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, and Vision recognizes this and is like, hold on, that is not natural human behavior. What just happened?
What's going on here? And so Wanda calms him down, calms Agnes down, is like, Agnes, you take over. Vision, I'm going to talk to you over here in the corner. And Vision's like, what the heck was that? And Wanda's like, look, dear, it was nothing. We're all howdy doody fine dandy times here. Don't know what that was. We're all fine. We're all good now. Thank you.
Right.
How are you?
And during this, it seems like what Wanda and Vision are doing is kind of off script too, because whenever Agnes interjects with her lines, it always seems like they're talking about something else. Right? It's kind of hard to explain, but you see what I'm getting at, right?
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay.
But yeah. And then right after this, the twins decide to age themselves up. And so they age themselves up to being like what, like 5-ish?
Yeah, I'd say. I don't know ages and stuff.
I want to say like 5 or so.
Yeah, 5. They toddler age. They're at toddler age right now. So because they can do that, I guess, because they're magical spawns of Wanda and Vision, and it's not
so
really weird because that, the 9-month pregnancy that happened in the 2 episodes ago, that happened like literally one day.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's not that weird, but it's WandaVision.
Yeah, but they do it in front of Agnes, and Agnes doesn't pay no never mind towards it. She's just like, oh, look at that, kids grow up so fast. You know?
Yeah, which
she
is,
just like,
I don't know. It's almost as if like you said sometime before, like on the previous episode, like in the fictitious sitcom world, like there are a whole bunch of episodes which actually aren't shown on Disney Plus, and I just had a thought during that moment. It's like, maybe the episode just like skipped like a couple hundred episodes and went straight to when the kids become toddlers or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that one's kind of a stretch, but that's what I'm thinking.
I don't think so.
We physically see.
Yeah, no, they just I don't,
that's true.
I don't think it's that. I think that Agnes's character, I feel like she's either the person that Agnes is is pretending not to notice, or if it's just part of the script that she just doesn't pay attention to it. And the reason why is because if you read the episode synopsis on Disney Plus, it says that Wanda in this episode is Vision's getting more and more concerned that they're coming closer to like finding out their secret, and Wanda is like, you know what? Who cares if they find out? You know?
Interesting. Already then.
Which is actually a conversation they have later on in this episode. And when I say later on, I mean like literally like 2 scenes later. But yeah, no, that's kind of like the first scene is the kids age up to be about 5-ish. Agnes doesn't pay attention to it, and Wanda and Vision are just like, now they're 5. Woo.
Alrighty then.
Then
I don't really remember if anything of significance happens after this, but I think that's when the little like WandaVision title role starts to play, right?
yeah, that's when the WandaVision title role starts to play. And then I believe after that, I don't remember if it goes into a sword segment there or if it goes just goes straight into the next part of the episode.
And I think because like I mentioned earlier, this episode, because it kind of revealed us the answers last time, so they're gonna have to follow some sort of different formula now. So they're kind of flip-flopping between the 2 universes now. So they're alternating scene by scene. So yeah, I think right after this, the WandaVision title role, that's when a sword scene plays. But like we said, we're not gonna cover those right now.
Yeah.
We're just gonna skip.
We're getting
over
into that
to
later.
we're just gonna skip over to the next sitcom scene. So what happens in this scene again?
In this scene, this is the scene that I was telling you about where Vision has the conversation with Wanda about, hey, Agnes, like, they're coming close to figuring out her powers, and Wanda's just like, who cares? But this is the scene where we get introduced to the dog, Sparky.
Right.
Which, so the kids are washing off the dog in a sink.
Well, remember, we don't know it's a dog right now. It's just from what it looks like, it's just a bunch of toddlers playing with the suds in the sink. Where I still do that sometimes.
I think we all do at some point. But it looks like they're just playing with something in the sink, and then they're talking about how like we can't have mom figure it out and things like that. And then as soon as they happen, with perfect comedic sitcom timing, Wanda steps on in and is like, "What do you mean, boys? Like, what are you hiding? You know?"
Mm-hmm.
And then they turn around to like hide what's behind them, and she's all like, "Oh, you guys are making a convenient wall in front of the sink so I can't see." Very self-aware sitcom moments.
Right.
And they're all like, "Aw, man, you caught us." And so they move out of the way, and then it reveals the dog, Sparky.
Yay.
But they don't name it Sparky yet.
Yeah, they don't name it that yet.
So then they get the dog, and they're all like, "Can we keep him? Please let us keep him." And Wanda's like, "Maybe he has an owner." Sees that there's no collar, conveniently. Doesn't have a collar. And then she's all like, "Okay, maybe we can keep him. But let's console your father first, and let's see what he has to say." So then he comes in.
Sitcom timing.
Exactly. And Vision's all like, having a dog's a lot of responsibility. And then they're all like, okay, well, like, what age should they like have the dog at? And then they're like, 10. 10 is when you can have a dog. So what they do? They age themselves up to 10.
Right. It's kind of intriguing what the scene does, because I feel like, I think fathers are a bit more conservative when it comes to parenting, and then mothers are a bit more liberal, more open to things, and then so we just kind of have that kind of conflict, and then they have to come to a compromise. So basically they said, boys, wait till you're age 10 to have the quote responsibility of owning this dog. And then
they age themselves up to 10. Woo!
like that, just like
Exactly.
how they did it when babies straight to, I don't know, 5-year-old
Mhm.
toddler
Yeah, and
age.
I'm just
Now
gonna
they're
say right now that that transition, like that age transition, just the way that they did it, it's very weird.
yeah, it's kind of like, have you seen the, I guess, TikToks where they have like the face and then then it slowly fades into another face or something like that.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
very
it's
much
kind
did
of like
feel like
that, but
that.
on TV.
Exactly, it was very weird to look at. And then Agnes comes, or I think she's already there.
No, she
Um,
walked.
yeah, she walks in conveniently with a doghouse.
Right.
Which even Vision's all,
Got
which
that
even
sitcom timing.
exactly, which even Vision is all like, and here comes our neighbor with the right item we needed exactly this moment. Um, and so she brings in a doghouse, and they're all like, "Woo, doghouse, yeah!" And then they're like trying to figure out a name, and they think they have one, and then right when they think they have one, the dog like licks an electric outlet or something, makes it spark.
I don't
So
know
they're all
how
like,
that
"Sparky."
happened.
Sitcom logic.
Sitcom logic. Alrighty then.
Best I got for you.
Yeah, they don't got those child safe plugins that you put into your wall outlets, so the
Apparently
child
not.
can't touch them or lick them or something. I don't
Yeah.
know how that happened, but yeah, that's how
Um.
they named the dog Sparky.
Yep. Uh. And then Wanda magics a collar onto him and everything, and Vision's all like, "Wanda, Agnes is right there. What you doing?" And she's all like, "Psh, don't worry about it, Vision. The boy's aged in front of her, and she didn't care. This would be fine. Maybe you should take more liberties and actually show yourself once in a while." And he's just like,
What the?
"Why?
Yeah,
Wasn't the whole plot of this so that I don't reveal myself?"
right.
Um. So that happens. And then I believe no, we're getting close to it. Then the next scene happens where the dog wants to like escape.
Yeah, I think right between the kitchen scene and the scene you're about to describe is another sword scene, but we're just gonna skip
Yes, it
that.
is. Yeah. I believe as also at this point, I believe Vision has gone to work, so he's not there when they cut back from the sword scene. Uh, so then the dog wants to like escape because something is bothering the dog outside. So the dog runs. So then Wanda opens the door and the dog escapes.
Oh no.
Um, and so the dog escapes, and then Wanda and the boys walk out. And then when they walk out, they look up and they see a drone.
Yeah, and this is not like an 80s drone because there weren't any drones in the 80s. So, yeah, that happens. And then I think this is the moment where we can kind of describe what exactly this
Yes.
drone is. Ergo, sword. Now that we've gotten to this point where Wanda and her two children are outside looking for the dog that just escaped because the dog wanted to go chase after some noise or something, which was the drone. We're now going to talk about what happened in the two sword scenes that we skipped over previously. All right.
Yes. And
Because
the
yeah,
one that takes place later on, because the sword scenes aren't too much.
right. All right. So what happens in the first sword cutaway?
The first sword cutaway has us cut to Darcy, or not Darcy, Monica waking up. Um, and she's getting some tests done, and during these tests, there's a little like, um, I think it's a voiceover. I could be wrong, because I don't remember seeing her mouth move. Um, but they were asking her questions about like, what was it like inside there? Like, what did you feel? Things like that. And she was like, so she explained it. She felt pain. She felt despair. She like her own thoughts were buried underneath what Wanda was telling her, and everything. And that like if she had to give it a feeling, she said that it was grief. Meaning that the whole reason why this is going on is because Wanda is grieving. This is her way of grieving. and not accepting that Vision is totally dead and things like that.
Right.
Um, and so that's really what kind of happens. And then they sort of get started talking about the whole like, well, what about like costumes, props, things like that, because they ask her, are the twins real? And she's all like, yes, the twins are real. Everything in there is very much 100% real. And so then she's like, well, what about like the costumes and props and things like that? So then what they do is they find Monica's clothes that she was in
Yeah, her
when
Geraldine
she
costume.
when she was inside her Geraldine outfit, and she's like, okay, let's figure this out. And so she shoots it. Because she like looked at this, like she looked at like the test results of the clothing, like what they were made of, and so she borrows James Woo's gun, fires 3 rounds into her clothes, and then you see that her clothes are bulletproof. And the reason why is because when she went in, she was wearing a bulletproof vest, and so her outfit is made out of 97% Kevlar, because her outfit changed into what it is. Showing that,
yeah, pretty crazy.
showing that Wanda is just rewrite. It's not its own separate reality. It's just reality rewritten.
Right. It's like what Jimmy mentioned in the previous episode about set production, design, props, and everything. Like how the original drone that Monica set in the last episode had turned into that weird colorized toy helicopter from episode 2. So that's how she gets the idea of like to shoot her 90s, her 80s, 70s costume, because it's still bulletproof vest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's basically all that happens in that scene, which was actually the second scene you described.
No, that was the first.
No, that was the second one. Because I remember that specifically because I forgot to take notes like in the first half of it, and then when I finally got to that scene, I was like, oh yeah, notes. I should type those out, and that's when I hear what happened.
Well then,
but
it doesn't really matter what order you tackle them in.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't in the end, but
as long as the last one is last, you're fine.
right, yeah. Yeah, because I feel like the scene that we just described is like more context building, more or less. I feel like the first one though is like to catch you up on stuff, because in the first sword scene they go over like a brief Wanda backstory of her history in the MCU.
Yeah, basically, because they go over the death of Pietro in Age of Ultron. They talk about the whole Age of Ultron sequence a little bit, and then a majority of what they talk about is from Civil War, like how when she broke Vision's body, when she broke out with Vision's body and revived him in this new reality, how that was breaking the Sokovia Accords.
Did they ever state where Vision's body was located, or did SWORD have it themselves, or some?
I think SWORD had it themselves.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Because I mean, I think the whole thing that the reason why they were able to like claim Vision's body was because he's technically a sentient weapon.
Oh, true. Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and remember in how last episode they were talking about how they were working with like nanobots and like things like that. They could have easily gotten those from researching Vision's body.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. So then that happens, and then they shared the intel that Wanda had broken into their laboratories and stolen Vision's body and brought him back to life. Which, guess what? Vision is not dead, guys.
What? And so they're like, she's a terrorist, and even Monica, who was literally trapped in this world, even said no, she's not a terrorist, and they're just like, you literally described her as a terrorist. She's like, no politics.
Right. I think there's like some social commentary to it, and I also like to point out that aspect too, because I think people have a weird notion of what politics actually is, because politics comes from the Latin word polis, which means the interaction of public peoples. So when anyone says that, like, oh, this is way too political for my likings, everything to an extent has a natural political aspect to it. So conflict of interest between what's happening, like the interaction of Jimmy, Monica, to the director, whom I forgot the name
Yeah,
of.
because I believe his name's Hayward.
I don't know.
I could be wrong, probably him, but I believe that's what his name is. It sounds like a very directory name. Uh, but yeah, no, the director is very much trying to make Wanda out to be a purebred bad guy.
Yeah, which
Like like how everything that she's done up to this point is like supposed to prove that she's a bad guy. Like what happened in the beginning of Civil War, how she blew up like part of that building, even though she didn't mean to. And now how she's trapped so many people inside in like a little like pocket dimension here on Earth,
right.
and things like that. He's very much trying to make her out to be a purebred bad guy. Meanwhile, Monica and Jimmy are both trying to defend her and saying like, no, she's doing this because she's grieving. She's doing this because she's in pain. She's not doing this because like she's not thinking right, basically.
Right. I also think that we forget like how long it's been since 2016, because that's when the Civil War happened. Not the actual Civil War, but you know what I'm saying.
The MCU Civil War.
That's when the Civil War movie happened, and basically, I think after that point, we didn't really get like a perspective on what the general public of the inside the MCU actually thought of the Avengers afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the whole, there's still a few people in there that still think the Avengers are the good guys, but some bad crap happens in there, but it's a whole complicated conflict of interest, and we really haven't been shown any of that at all, even with the dozens of movies we got in between 2016 and now.
Yeah, and I think that's probably something that they're going to explore a little bit more of in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, and maybe Falcon and Winter Soldier, because that's a thing that's happening next month, which we'll be doing a podcast on that one too. Hooray! Subscribe
to see our mental capacity go down as we lose sleep.
Exactly. But maybe some audience members might get a little bit put off from this interaction, but I think we'll just have to see where it goes from here.
Definitely. But that's scene that was scene 1.
Right.
We already talked about scene 2. On to scene 3. In this one, this happens right after the little drone debacle. Where we think that they have fired upon and potentially, I mean, we obviously know they didn't die, but like they're all like, hey, maybe they did. You never know. And we're just like, you're showing us 4 more episodes after this. We know they didn't die.
Well, we didn't, as audience members, we didn't know that the drone actually was actually armed and was actually going to fire a missile at Wanda. Yeah. But then the directors said, "Uh-oh, crap. She's onto us. I don't know why we didn't plan for this, but fire away."
Yeah.
And that's when that's when the perimeter breach happens, right?
Yes, the breach happens, and Wanda comes into the real world with the drone, dragging it as it's destroyed, and she's just like, leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. Bye. As all these guns are trained on her. And the director's all like, listen, no. You need to free all those people that you have trapped in there. And she's all like, no. I don't think I will.
Yeah, confirms your theory that she's actually the bad guy.
Which, I mean...
Well, maybe. We'll talk about it later.
Yes. So Hayward's all like, just do what I say. And she's all like, how about no? And as she's leaving, She's like, boom. And then all the guns train on Hayward now. And he's like, stand down, stand down. And then Monica is like, Wanda, I was in there. You trusted me to a degree. Even though you were in my mind and knew what I was, you trusted me to a degree to help you birth your own children. You trust me. And she's like, what do you have to say? And Monica's just like, just free those people. And she's like, no. So then she I don't know exactly what she does, but she makes her barrier.
Well, like she controls the people, all the soldiers pointing their guns at her to point them on Hayward.
Yeah. But she kind of like as she heads back into her own world, she like powers up her force field. And just makes it I guess makes it stronger and like harder to breach.
Maybe. Yeah, she did. She obviously did something with that because we could tell from the CGI. Yeah. But yeah,
I know that at least from what I could see, I'm pretty sure that it raised up how high it reaches. I thought I saw it like raise up, but I could be wrong. It probably again was just the CGI. But she just powers up her force field as she heads back in, and then that's what happens in the sword plot of this episode. Commercial break. I know it's probably happened before that.
Yeah, that was an odd place to put it. That was like a complete 180 mood swing right there. Because I feel like this is sort of like the climax of the episode, and basically all the audience members are on the edge of their seats waiting to see what happens now, and then once the scene ends, cut to commercial break.
Exactly. Where we get our good old fashioned towel commercial.
Oh my god.
Paper towel commercial.
Such a mood swing, gang. Like literally, like I think you all have seen like all those like Bounty or Clorox, what have you. It's like they have the two images on the side, and then they do like a swipe across the counter with like some puddle of stain or what have you. Just go, whoop, look, the leading brand towel doesn't pick up this much crap, while our brand does. Buy our brand today. Did you actually catch the name of that one? Because I didn't, and knowing how these
after looking it up, I did.
Okay.
But what it is so Lagos is the name of the city from Civil War when she accidentally blew up the bomb, destroying that entire floor.
Huh.
From the building. The name of that city was Lagos. And so that's the significant, because that's what pushed the Sokovia Accords into effect.
Right.
I am dumb.
What?
I just realized that Sokovia is referencing her home country.
Okay, I knew that, and I know nothing.
Wait, what do you mean by that, though?
Because the country that Wanda is from is Sokovia.
Yeah?
And it's called the Sokovia Accords.
Yeah?
I just got that.
Are you kidding me?
No. God, I'm dumb.
Are you about to tell me that for 5+ years
I just thought that it was that's just the name they came up with, the Sokovia Accords.
You're about to tell me for about over 5+ years you didn't understand that the policy name of the Sokovia Accords was in reference to the country of the country that blew up in Age of Ultron? Is that what I'm hearing from you right now?
That wasn't the city that blew up.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wait, Sokovia was the city that Ultron like lifted up into the sky? Oh, wow.
Oh.
It's been so long since I've seen these movies. I need to rewatch the entire MCU. Alrighty.
Rachel, are you still there?
I am.
Please tell me I'm not the only one here losing brain cells to Brian.
No, I'm sick. I've seen like 3 movies, and I knew that.
I am very disappointed in myself.
First it was Hydra Soak, and now it's Sokovia. How long is this gonna go on?
I don't know. We're gonna figure out new things every week, guys. Stay tuned. We forgot a very crucial scene.
The Discord?
No.
The...
The workspace.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
So Vision, as we mentioned before the whole sword break,
That's it.
Vision went to work.
Okay, yeah.
Vision went to work, and he's working away where we see classic computers. We get the old dial-up screen to get to see your electronic mail.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's like I like it when TV shows and movies like set in this time period always make fun of the technology because of how advanced we've come from them.
Exactly. So Norm again references how Vision just gets it automatically, almost like he can speak with the computers, like he did back in episode 1 when talking about how fast he was. And so Vision then has a conversation with Norm, and during this conversation, there is an email that pops up from Sword, because Sword. So after after they find out the close information, they decide, okay, well, what if something went in that didn't have to change? So what they do is they use 80s technology to talk with them, since they're in the 80s time period. So they send an email, and when the email is sent and everyone's reading it, I do mean everyone, because Norm and everyone else in the workspace reads the email in sync
Out loud.
and Vision out loud, and Vision's just like, what the he's just very confused. And so after that creepiness, like something out of The Shining, Vision then decides to zap Norm out of it and bring Norm, like actual real life Norm, there. And
Right.
when he
like,
does,
because like
Norm's-
that whole trippy scene was like the instigator for Vision to get that idea in the first place.
Yeah, because the email was from Sword and it was like, hey, can you read me? Wanda is doing stuff to these people. You need to help them. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't really remember off the top of my head, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's when Vision decides to, I guess, snap Norm out of it.
Which he does, and Norm's like, I need to call my sister, like, where's a phone? And he's very stressed out and all over the place. And then Vision's just like, calm down, Norm, calm down, talk to me. What's going on? Then he's just like, pain. All I feel is pain. And it's just, and like he's talking about how there's a woman's voice in his head and everything like that, how she's controlling everything. And Norm is just completely hyperventilating over all of this, and so Vision just snaps him back into his sitcom self, which the change from him like completely freaking out to him then being like calm and smiley, very jarring.
Yeah, from an actor's perspective. Yeah, that is pretty funny.
It's a sign of talent when someone can do it that fast and that good.
Right.
But like that's just how you know it's jarring, is because they do it so well. But we get that little scene. That's then we cut back and Sparky's dead. Sparky died.
How did Sparky die?
He ate too many leaves azalea leaves, which apparently azaleas are poisonous.
Oh,
The dogs.
interesting. Did
Yes.
not know that.
Thank you, Encyclopedia Britannica. Uh, um,
Call me an encyclopedia.
so, the dog dies. The kids are very sad, and the kids look at each other almost like they're about to age up again. But Wanda stops them from doing it. And then this is like Wanda's monologue here is a very nice monologue to tell somebody, but coming from Wanda, it's the most ironic thing
Yeah.
you'll ever hear.
Yeah, I found like I think she's trying to like give her kids some parental advice as a parent, as
Yeah.
you do. So like,
I feel like she's trying to like give them advice and like make sure that they don't follow her in her footsteps.
right,
Because I feel like she knows that she's done stuff wrong and that she's done something wrong in bringing back Vision, but she still wants to like do it. Like she doesn't want to come to terms that he's
right,
dead.
yeah, that's like, yeah, no, you do bring up an interesting point because like think about it in real life. Like a mother is like teaching her daughter, "Hey, don't go around in high school sleeping with a bunch of dudes," and then the daughter's like, "Wait, didn't you do that in your high school?" Is like, yeah, that's why I'm telling you not to, idiot.
Exactly. And so like the monologue she gives is just like, hey, there are some things in life you can't run from, you can't age from, you just have to grow, you just have to grow on your own through it, and take it slow, and like you just have to and then they're like, well, can't you bring him back? And she's like, no, because you just can't reverse death. And then as soon as she said that, I just couldn't hold it in. I had to laugh because the entire reason we have WandaVision is because she decided, hey,
Right.
I don't like that my boyfriend's dead. Nope.
Right.
And so that happens. And then as this little thing is happening, Vision is coming home from work. And Vision's like, what happened? And they're like, the dog died. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, boys. Let's mosey on home, kind of thing. I don't think he gives too much of like a dadly speech about it. He's just kind of like, it's sad. I understand you guys are upset, but we can move on from this. Let's go
Well,
home.
I also think since it's Vision we're talking about, and this is a scene right after he discovered that the world he's living is fictitious, I think that was processing through his mind more than the actual event of what was
And
happening.
you can tell by the way he's walking down the street too that he's really trying to just process where he
Right.
is.
Yeah.
Because he does look like he just came home drunk. Like he looked like a sad drunk walking down the street. But so when they go home, the boys are put upstairs and sent. They're at least like sent upstairs. They're not there in the room that they're in. And then Wanda and Vision get into a little bit of a scuffle. Where Vision confronts Wanda saying, "Where am I? What's going on here?" Yeah. How he doesn't remember anything before Westview, like what's outside Westview, all that kind of things.
There are no kids.
Mm-hmm. There are no other kids besides their own. How every day he walks to work, and he sees that the park is empty. Everything like that. There's like how he just doesn't remember anything before this. And he just wants to know the truth. And she's like, you can't handle the truth, so I'm not going to tell you.
Right. It's like this is a scene where I think Vision was kind of like pressing Wanda to explain to her what the hell is going on in this world, and Wanda still trying to. I don't know. I don't know whether it's like keep up the facade, because she clearly like used her magic in front of actual people. Well, we say that, but you know, it's all scripted, what have you. So this is actually kind of a complicated question. So I don't know exactly what she's doing here, but she doesn't like it. She's not comfortable with the pressing that Vision is doing. So she basically just tries to end the episode there, like just have the credits like not the actual Disney Plus credits, but like the fictitious credits roll, and then try to escape from Vision. Just end it already, right?
Yeah. And she tries to end it, but he's not having it. The credits eventually do finish, but the episode doesn't end. As they're
finally,
still
a post
fighting.
credit scene. No, I'm kidding.
I know. As they're still fighting, and then he flies up, and then she flies up, and then they're just like, "Let's do this." And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was really I was full on expecting an entire like superhero brawl. And then they just destroy my hopes and dreams, and they float back down, and I'm just like, damn it.
That like they try to reason with each other, which I don't know what exactly is going on. So it's definitely coming from Wanda. So I think as audience members, we have to kind of dissect what she's saying here.
So what happens after they calm down is Vision starts talking to her about how he wants to know the truth and everything, and she's all like, listen, do you really think that I can just control everything that happens here? Like every little movement, every little piece, every little person that happens. And so Vision's just like, look, I'm ignoring all statistics at this point, and I'm just not gonna believe you. And so he doesn't. And this conversation actually kind of ties into episode 3, because back in episode 3, the episode where Wanda's pregnant, if you don't remember.
Right.
Back in episode 3, we saw that Agnes and Herb kind of broke out of almost of their like characters when they were outside talking with Vision alone. How they kind of like broke out of their characters of sorts, and they were actually able to talk to Vision by themselves. How Agnes was like, is Geraldine in there with Wanda alone and everything? And then she like snapped back into it and was like, alrighty, well, I gotta go. Right. Adios. And how Herb was cutting through the like fake brick wall that was supposed to be like the wall in between their houses. Right. And how he almost was able to tell them that they're all trapped. The reason why they were able to get away with that, I believe, is because Wanda was too busy being preoccupied with giving birth that she wasn't able to control that part of Herb and that part of Agnes at that given time.
Interesting. Alrighty.
And so they kind of like make reference of that in this episode with Wanda being like, do you really think I can control everything at once? And Vision's still just like, I don't believe you.
Ding dong.
Wanda's all like, do you think I did that? And Vision's just like, I don't know at this point. So they go and open the door, and Wanda opens it, and Vision's all like, Wanda, who is that? And she's just like,
it's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Preparing the Krabby Patty!
Guess we were all kind of wondering what Disney was going to do with all those 20th Century Fox properties, but now I can see the first bit of evidence of what they're doing with it.
Yeah, it's very I love it because it's poking fun at how they brought a different actor to play him. Specifically how they brought the Quicksilver actor from Fox into it. Right. And it's just poking fun at how Marvel just loves to recast people.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, god damn it now. Our true Marvel fans are now gonna connect the Quicksilver actor that's here now and somehow work all the X-Men movies into the MCU timeline now because WandaVision decided to do this. I feel like some crazy Marvel fans plural are about to do that right as we speak.
I kind of already saw a TikTok about that. How this boyfriend was explaining. This boyfriend took like a marker and wrote on so they had a closet with glass with mirror walls. that like opened up the closet, and so he was drawing with marker on the mirror walls how like he was explaining the X-Men timeline and how Days of Future Past takes place in the present, and then it takes place in the past of their own timeline. The ending of that movie then erases X-Men 3 and everything past that. But this actor is also in this, which makes this the most important thing we will ever see. Something like that. I don't remember exactly the whole TikTok, but it was some. If I can find it, I'll send it to you, Ethan, and then you can possibly put it in here.
Oh, alrighty. Oh dear God, that's gonna happen now. But yeah, we did wonder what they're gonna do with those 20th Century Fox properties, but
that's what they did.
And then the credits roll.
Yep, basically. So that was episode 5.
Yeah, that was WandaVision episode 5, and what a wild episode. And I feel like each episode is gonna continue along the path of like leaving the audience well, like, we answered some questions, yes, but now we have more questions. So bring up the meme of I don't need sleep, I need answers.
Now, so here's my little takeaway from the whole Pietro thing.
Okay.
If/when this whole like alternate universe eventually gets taken down and like she eventually has to come to terms with the real world, which I'm taking will happen, possibly. I'm not gonna get too much into that because that's not what I'm focusing on.
Okay.
I'm focusing on Pietro himself. Because so the Pietro that we now have in the context of the MCU is a completely random person that no one has seen before because as they know, it's not the actual Pietro. So what this implies is that in the real world they know it's not Pietro, but in the pocket dimension they think it's Pietro. And what this implies is this. Wanda is not only able to rewrite reality on the outside of like clothes, looks, how the set looks, how everything, like the production design to make it fit. It also implies that her powers, whether she's aware of it or not, are able to also change someone as a person. I'm probably sounding like a conspiracy theorist.
No, that sounds in line,
because
I guess.
Because if this man now has Pietro's powers, that means that Wanda's powers were able to rewrite his genetic code to turn him into a copy of Pietro. If it is revealed that he does have powers. If he doesn't officially have powers, then this theory is kind of blown out of the water.
Yeah,
but I don't understand why they would bring him back and have him be powerless.
Right. And yeah, we also have to see like why he's following the script of the fiction world, of the sitcom world. So like if that is what he's doing, like there are so many questions to dissect in next week's episodes for sure.
Oh yes. Oh man, I am not prepared for what next week's episode has in store for us.
Right. Oh man. So
it's gonna be a doozy.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to end this off, but all I can really say is we need answers, gang. I don't know. This show, I like how each week with each episode, how it keeps perplexing our minds in very interesting ways. And that I think that was kind of the whole point of the show. I think, you know what? We're 4 weeks into this thing, and we've only got 4 episodes left. This is the halfway point of the show. I think we should talk about what we think of the show generally at the halfway point now.
Oh, man. I love it. I love just every aspect of it. I mean, I remember when they were teasing the show before the first episodes came out. I remember they were like, it's a combination of like your favorite sitcoms meets The Twilight Zone. And I'm just like, yes, it very much is. Because it follows very basic and simple sitcom plots that probably everyone has at least seen once. But the way that they are able to twist those plots and the way that they're able to twist the story, to add in those like creepy elements and to add in all the questions that need to be answered and all that stuff, and how they're able to change perspectives like that. It's it's definitely a show that makes you want to keep coming back to it.
Right. Yeah. Like,
And even once we have all the questions answered, I'm probably still gonna go back and rewatch the entire show with the knowledge I have afterwards,
yeah,
and be like, okay,
yeah, because on second run through, we might notice things that we hadn't noticed before. And
Yeah.
like now that,
It's-
and probably going back to say episode 1, now knowing that there's more than what's presented in episode 1, it'll be really interesting to experience the second run.
yeah. It's like after episode 4 came out, how I went back and I actually rewatched episodes 1 through 3, and I was like, so that's where that was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you watch the
Um,
podcasts?
No.
Oh, you suck.
Fake,
Fake, fake
fake
fan.
creator. I bet that's not even you in the videos.
But
Um,
do you have more to say?
No. Do you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like I agree with you a lot on what the show is doing at at the halfway point, because I feel like watching the trailers before the show released, I was like, what even is the premise of this show? Because
Right.
I feel like it might be, I don't know how big of a impact statement this is, but like this is one of the most uniquest shows out there.
Definitely.
Yeah, it follows its own unique formula, and has its own robust nature to its design. And so, and I've also been thinking, how would I pitch to someone who's not really interested in, say, superhero films or any Marvel stuff or comic book movies, what have you? How would I pitch it to someone? So basically, I would say it's like, at face value, it looks like a magical woman and a robot live together in a house and just live daily misadventures, and that's kind of what the premise of the show, what gives it off in episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but also there is a overarching mystery element to the series, to the season at least, which it blends the two into a really scrumptious combination. I don't know any other word to describe it. My grandparents, who don't really watch comic book movies, have seen some of the trailers for the show, because they it's a trailer, it's a commercial. So basically, that's basically the premise of what they got is like a magical woman, a robot living together in a house, living through daily misadventures, yada yada. And so that might get their attention alone, but then you also have the deeper overarching plot of the season, which episode 1 kind of hints to, and then it'll lead up, especially episode 4. But then comes the question of how much backstory do you need to know in order to fully enjoy it, and like that's kind of like the stumbling block that I have, and this is something that I mentioned in like our really old Infinity War and Endgame podcast, I mentioned, like the people who reviewed it with me, like Cameron and Alec, they're like, did you enjoy the movie? Yes. Did you understand the movie? No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically that comes as stumbling block. But to be fair, in Infinity War and this, they tried to catch the audience up with the backstory of like certain characters and plot points, which have you. Like episode 5 in WandaVision, for example, like when the director was giving like a brief backstory on Wanda in the MCU. That'll catch people of like kind of have an idea of what happened beforehand. But
Yeah.
the full enjoyment comes from having watched those movies beforehand. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one stumbling block, and I feel like maybe episode 4 will come to a stumbling block as well, because of how it like disrupts the formulas of episodes 1, 2, and 3. But also on the other hand, since we kind of do get an understanding there's an overarching plot, maybe episode 4 will be welcomed to these newcomers and kind of give like, oh, so that's how it works. That's really cool. And that's where the coolness and the uniqueness of its robust nature comes in. So yeah, it's complicated, to put it in other words. It's very complicated. So I want to encourage our audience members to test, like, do an experiment with this show. Go to maybe your parents or any other your friends who aren't interested in any comic book movies or TV shows, what have you, and just introduce them this one and get their feedback on it. I wanna know what their input is.
Yeah.
And that's basically all I have to say at the halfway point of the show. Alrighty then, so I suppose we should now end off our episode 5 review and synopsis. Agreed?
Agreed.
Alrighty then. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with our videos. Our WandaVision podcast review and synopsis. We also have other videos on our channel, like video games, if you happen to be into that. Yeah, anything else to say, Brian?
No, just keep it going.
Alrighty then, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, catch WandaVision exclusively on Disney Plus. You probably already knew that then, I'm repeating myself here. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Have yourselves a fantastic night and take care.